Hey guys, you're listening to CTN. I'm Manella.
And my name is Elizabeth, and this is where we have honest conversations about life and faith. It's been a while, guys, but welcome.
Been a minute.
It's been 3 weeks.
And you know what? We're not even going to get into why it's been 3 weks, because it has one person's name written all over it. Starts with the E.
I've been begging, Anella. I've been saying, Nella, please.
You've been begging.
Please.
Begging. Okay. Surely you don't know what that word means.
So welcome to the podcast today. So we're going to go into a big subject today. I really feel like this is a subject that has to be done tentatively, and it's a subject that I know so many people are not and are very well versed in. And I think in this millennial generation that we're in, information is so out there that people are basically lecturers in this discourse without having ever done a PhD, and then it's one of them. And so,
wow,
essentially,
compliment was fantastic. But right,
fantastic. So, first of all, though, as we are, we're going to keep this one quick and short and snappy. But our fun fact is, what was our favorite thing that we've done since this lockdown not since this lockdown, since we last caught up. So we caught up last maybe about 2-3 weeks ago. We went on a season's break, and
Elizabeth, can you stop using the word break? We're not deep enough to be having a break.
Elizabeth to this phrase, but as you can see, I'm committed. And then tell us, what was your favorite thing?
I'm not gonna say the one that I was gonna say, because I know that that's what yours is gonna be.
Thank you.
And if it's not, I'm a bit upset. We're gonna have to wheel back round to me if it's not what I think it is.
So much power in my hand.
But I actually had a chance to catch up with some friends, which was really, really nice. I went out for food twice.
Oh, nice. What did you eat?
Which was great, because you know me, I don't ram COVID. We don't play. But went for Korean food, and then I went for Korean food with one friend, and then I went to this I don't know I can't remember what the restaurant's called. It's on Komoro. It's like it's like that place in, is it the Cube?
Okay.
You know that place where they bring the meats.
Oh,
yeah, it's like that. It's Brazilian. So we went to that, but obviously COVID, so there's no buffet. So you basically just choose as much size as you want, and they bring it out to you. And then they come around with the meats. And then we went to IKEA, which, you know, I'm always down for a trip to IKEA, because IKEA, I'm like, at this point, they should just charge me rent the amount of times I've been there this month. But I do like a good trip to IKEA. So we went to IKEA, just hung out, you know, caught up. So that was pretty cool. What about you, Liz?
So good. I mean, I'm just reminiscing about the times I went to IKEA and just take pencils with you when I was little. Pencils.
I don't need pencils anymore.
I've probably, for people like yours truly, as in me truly. So the pencils are the best bit, and then the food, if you could get some, if you could swindle your parents. So fantastic. IKEA is a whole day experience, I feel.
It's the fact that you said swindle. That's the problem.
Oh dear. What is swindle mean? Ooh, choking.
Go on, Liz. What about you?
So, my highlight was actually, and then I hosted a movie night. Actually, I wish I had now pretended that wasn't it, so I could have just, but no. So actually, yeah, she hosted a movie night on Bank Holiday Monday, which I was really looking forward to. Go on, Naz.
it was very, very intentional, and it worked. It worked, Lizzie. The reason why I had the movie, I was very intentional about why we were going to watch what we watched.
Oh, was it for this reason? For this cause?
Oh, no, it wasn't for CTN, Elizabeth. It was because I wanted everybody hooked on Hamilton.
Right, so exactly. So essentially, we watched Hamilton.
Woo!
Now, I had my
throwing away Matt shot.
This is why I don't want to bring this up. You see why? Because of this behavior. Because once a Hamilton enthusiast hears Hamilton, Hamilton, it's a wrap. Yeah,
finished.
So I was a bit kind of apprehensive about watching it because one of our friends, she told me that it was basically all recorded on a stage. I just thought, well, that's not going to be very. Yeah, it was just a musical, and it was just a recording of a musical. Now, pardon me, but I honestly thought, when a parent, never mind.
Go on, say it with your chest.
Or when a parent does a home video of their child's play, I don't know, I just, that's it wasn't exactly like that, but it was essentially
so rude.
Like, how good can this be? Like, where's the depth, where are the levels, where are the change of scenes, etc. So I was just thinking, how is this going to be? But honestly, it was fantastic. It was really tastefully done. It was really good. I was surprised at how engaged we all were, because when someone's engaged when they're still singing the songs for this day.
I heard that your house has turned into
we may as well do our own episode. We're the Skylar sisters. There's 4 of us. Glory can alternate between me and Angelica.
Listen.
So it was brilliant. Anella, I'm now going to give space for Anella because she's you
I love Hamilton so much. Oh my goodness, it makes me so happy. Like, it makes me so happy.
The thing is, I've been watching Anella's IG stories for like the past 2 weeks. And all I kept seeing was all these TikToks about Hamilton. I said, and I never put Anella up about it. I was just like, what's going on with her?
Now you understand. Listen.
What? Because I knew Hamilton was a thing. I was just like,
what's going on? I made it to the Hamilton side of TikTok, and I have never looked back. It is amazing.
All these people doing pirate renditions.
Listen.
But now I do. It was
amazing. The entire 2 hours plus change is totally worth it.
Yes. And I think, I liked the fact that it was 2 hours. I like a good long movie. Anything that's like 60 minutes, I'm like, come on, give us more.
Come and see. And the thing is, the guy who wrote it, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he was like, he could actually write another Hamilton musical and have completely different storylines in it, because there's so much to the story. Yeah. Because there's so much to the story. Wow. So now I'm watching documentaries on the American Revolution. I'm watching documentaries on George Washington. That's the Jamaican in me, and George Washington. I'm watching documentaries on Hercules Mulligan. I'm watching I am in it. There's not many documentaries on Hamilton, which sucks, but I'm watching a lot of stuff about the American Revolution. About the whole breaking away and America becoming its own thing, and just like history in general, watching a lot of that stuff, and it is amazing. It's such a great escape. If that makes sense. Such a great
escape. Why?
It's just a great escape, because I mean the pandemic is still happening.
Contrary to popular belief.
Contrary to popular belief, it's still happening. And the other thing that we're going to talk about today is very much still happening as well. So it's nice to be afforded the ability to escape and to know that you know, I'm escaping, I'm getting so engrossed in history, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I have to be careful of what I'm taking in. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's history. Yeah, you have to be careful, but it's not like, do you know what I mean? So it's just, it's good, clean fun. And I like that. I'm all about good, clean fun, me.
You hear that, folks? She's quite clean. Good fun. Unless you missed it.
Entertainment, me.
Yeah.
Not that their lives weren't very scandalous, but nevertheless, it is.
Whoosh, yeah, there was some real. I found that bit so interesting. I don't know, like, I think you know what, guys? Never mind.
Should we do a podcast just on Hamilton?
Yeah,
just on Hamilton, yeah.
I don't know. The reason why I don't want to do that is because it's dangerous to do it with her. Like, I need somebody who's a bit more conservative in this area. Have like a rational conversation with, which is why I'm hesitant. But I'll let you know. I'll see how she behaves over the next few weeks. If she's still ranting, we know it's not time yet.
Very, 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 very good. And I'm glad that I got to experience it with my friends, because you guys made it, like, Ruth's little comments at the very end when we're supposed to be somber, and like I can feel the tears in my eyes, and Ruth is like, look what you did to her. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, the bit where he's like, forgive her.
And she's not having none of it. Ruth is like, Ruth is like, what?
I was so sorry. That was nice. That was such a nice turn in that. You know what? I'm so sorry to everybody who's not watched it, because
spoiler alert.
You're probably thinking, what's she talking about? We can't even tell you what, but there was some real. I feel like even, and I'm gonna go spiritual now, but even like on a Christian level.
Here we go, Lizzie.
I was like, whoa, that's a challenge. Like, you know, because he messed up twice, like in 2 departments. He messed up. Like he messed up. Like he messed up in that way, and then he messed up. I mean, the child, bro. Come on.
His ego was very much there. Yeah. Like, he really held in high esteem his political career over his family.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we're talking about play, guys. We're not. Let's keep this. We're talking about the Lin-Manuel Miranda interpretation of Hamilton. He really, I think in real life he did as well, because the whole pamphlet thing, no one in their right minds would have done that. But it's just so good. Watch it. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Like,
if you want to know what pamphlet she's talking about, it's the Reynolds pamphlet.
Reynolds.
Yeah, the Reynolds pamphlet.
Watch it.
Watch
it. Like, this is history. This actually happened. This guy actually did this nonsense. But let's move on, because we can literally talk about Hamilton. I can talk about Hamilton for the next hour.
I could probably.
That's not what you came for.
10 minutes. And so already there's some asymmetry, so we move forward. Okay, so today we are talking about Black Lives Matter. Now, I wish that's essentially it. We're talking about Black Lives Matter. We're talking about the nuances. We're trying to, I mean, it's such a massive topic. And even as we were breaking things down, we were kind of like, there's so many aspects to the Black, because it's not just Black Lives Matter. It's Black Lives Matter, but it's also like Black life. So Black Lives Matter as in the existence. And then within Black Lives Matter, there's Black life. There is the
reality of the lives being lived.
Yeah, the reality, the day-to-day, the day-to-day, the minute-to-minute, the challenges, the obstacles. And so, so I think we're just going to kick off. First of all, we're going to talk about our experiences. We're going to talk about our experiences being Black. Now, I think essentially with the Black Lives Matter movement, the Black Lives Matter movement has been happening for beyond this, since before this year. But we know particularly this year, in the wake of George Floyd and other deaths, there was a kind of global reaction, a really strong global reaction. So many people are familiar with this experience. But first of all, we're going to address, why this is an issue, why this is a topic, even on a personal level. And first of all, we're just saying what are our experiences being Black, and I think that gives you some kind of perspective on a personal, individual level, in terms of what this is about. Yeah. So what would you? I'm not trying to hold back on my words. I'm trying to not say everything at once. That's it. I'm trying to stick to the bullet points. Yeah, I'm trying to just hurt. So, and then what's your experience being Black? I mean, and when you think of Black Lives Matter, what's your experience of being Black? Because, the reason why it was such a big deal was because we felt it. You feel it because you're Black. I mean, there's something that resonates with you about what's going on. So what's your experience being a Black woman?
For me, it's just is what it is. You know what I mean? So like, there are things that I can look in on somebody else going through, and I can be like, I can point out the injustices of X, Y, Z and the other. But for me as a Black woman, because that's all I know, there are lots of injustices that I think I've just become so used to, and I just sit in, and it's just become my existence. As a woman, there are already certain things that are stacked against me. As a Black woman, there are even more things that are stacked against me. And I'm talking about in terms of strength and resilience, these things that are supposed to be amazing characters and things that are supposed to be celebrated in people that people have. As a Black woman, it's used to weaponize me. So I am too opinionated, I am too loud, or I can take certain things, so it's okay to be treated a certain way. The characteristics that should be praised are used as weapons against me. That's something I think I've experienced my whole life, from going to doctors and doctors not believing you, or them saying, just take paracetamol. Or I remember there was a time when I had some stuff going on with me, and I had really bad abdominal pains, and I was like, I went to the mom was like, go to doctors, went to doctors. My GP was like, oh, take paracetamol. Fam, what's paracetamol gonna do? And if it wasn't the persistence to try and figure out what was going on, I wouldn't have been diagnosed with what I was diagnosed with and then been given correct medical treatment. That is something that a lot of Black people face every single day. Do you know what I mean? But once again, it is just something that I think we just sit in, because as a Black person, that's just what it is. If that makes any sense. So I think my experience is the shared experience of my community, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, but solidarity, and you can see my hand, all that stuff right there. But I did put myself in particular position and particular spaces, or I found myself in those. I guess that you can say that I did put myself in that place, because I said before, I was the only Black girl on my course in college. I was the only Black girl on my course in my year in university as well. So having been put in places where it is very evident that I am a minority, you kind of feel like you have to water down yourself. I couldn't be too loud. I couldn't be the way that I normally am, or I would normally be with you. Couldn't be too opinionated. Couldn't really say exactly how I felt about certain things, because it would be too harsh and I'd get these kind of looks. I studied theology in university. There was only really one time when I really spoke up, and that was when we were doing a discourse on what's it called? This theory about Black people are only created because, who was it, cursed their sons? He was drunk. Ham, the Hamite theories. That because Ham, he cursed his sons. It wasn't Ham, it was Noah. Noah cursed his sons. Yeah, and then Black people came from the line of Ham. And I remember being in that lecture and hearing that being presented as fact, and having to be like, hold up 1 second. I think that's when they realized that there's a Black girl in the class, because I was like, are we really just going to present this as fact? Like, I know we're studying theology, but do you know what I mean? So I think that was probably one of the only times that I really let my code switching just flip the switch off. But having to present myself in a certain manner, keep myself in a certain manner, there's certain phrases, and it was just an experience. It was a very good experience, because I feel like it put me in a place where, this is going to sound really, 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 really bad, but it put me in a place where professionally I'm now able to just adapt, because for 5 years that was what I knew. Do you know what I mean? So that's my experience as a Black woman. I don't think it's been a particular instance until recently where I've had to sit down and think about these things and think about myself in the grand scheme of social justice and equality. And then having realized that there's a lot of stuff that I put up with and a lot of stuff that happened to me that shouldn't have happened to me. But as a Black woman, I just kind of sat down and took it. I don't know if I'm answering your question, because I feel like I've got quite a lot to say about this subject.
Also very true.
But yeah, that's my experience. My experience is very similar to a lot of Black people, in the sense that, you know, we've for a very long time just sat down and said okay to whatever was fed to us and whatever was given to us, and you know, the revolution is here, fam. So woo! What's your experience, Liz? Yours is definitely more different to mine.
Okay, why?
Because we spoke about this in the I think it's the testimonies, when you were talking about your workplace. Did we do it?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Did we do it on the podcast, or was that just me and you talking?
Listen, these days. Yeah.
What's your experience like, Liz?
So, Lord help me. My experience, like Nella said, and I really respect what Nella said, actually, is not, again, it's not an isolation. I feel like the sentiment and the experience of Blackness is a very communal thing. You know what I mean? It's a communal burden, even though you can feel very isolated in the experience. I think from when I was young, I was very conscious of my Blackness. So I think that's actually down to skin. So as you can see, I'm dark. I'm ebony. And so
okay, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at _CTN_UK.
I will not be silent.
Okay, go on.
No, you know, so
it's just the fact that you said you're ebony, that's where I was like,
Cedars of Lebanon.
Go on, fam.
So I was very conscious of my Blackness, and I was very conscious of, so from a very young age, I was, and I guess that goes into colorism and Black beauty and what it consists of what we perceive beauty to be like. So I was very conscious of that. And so I was already tackling, I think, issues in terms of the color of my skin. Again, this is I feel like a communal kind of experience. It was, I think I was, would I say shielded a bit in primary school, going to a Christian school where there was a lot of Black people, so Black people, secondary school the same. However, growing up into my late teens or mid-teens up onwards, it has been a journey of being so aware of the issues within the community, aware of the social inequalities. And I think it was something I was very passionate about, especially in university. I became very passionate about it. I would talk and talk and talk. I wanted to do things, etc. But I realized that the environment that I was in, I needed to, in some ways, I felt I needed to, I think it became exhausting. And eventually I just kind of I think zapped out. But I've always been in many places the only Black person. How has that been? There's been many experiences, racial experiences, subliminal messages sent, etc. There's just so much. And I think I remember when I was in sixth form, like one of my experiences was, I remember I would cringe. I think I mentioned this to you. I would cringe if somebody, I was in chemistry, I was doing chemistry A level at the time, and somebody said black precipitate, and I cringed. I would cringe whenever somebody mentioned the word black. If somebody said black, I would just cringe. I didn't want anybody to say the word black because it brought attention to myself and being the only person, and so many preconceptions that would come along with that. In my environment, people could be very racist. And so it was just battling that. University was a bit better, you know. But essentially, I think now, if I fast forward, I think me personally, realizing the spaces that I was going into and I desired to be in, I had to decide very quickly that me being black was not going to be an obstacle. So when I got to university, and that's not saying that there aren't obstacles, it's saying that I had to detach myself, almost, not from the community, but detach myself from the reality of what was going on. Because it was kind of like, if I apply to internships, if I apply here, if I apply for jobs, they're going to see my last name, and boy, do you see what I mean? And I believe that preconception was playing in the back of my mind. But I decided that me being black would not be a problem. And so you see what I mean? In doing that, in making that conscious decision, I wouldn't say I desensitized myself or detached myself, but I became, because you're the only one, you become less aware of the issues. You're just fighting day to day to get through. You walk through, I remember sometimes walking through the office, and you're just like, okay, you know, you're the only person, you know, etc, etc, etc. But I felt like what Anela said about now, it's about figuring out your space and your place in this advent of social justice. You know, I feel like for some time I kind of not mellowed down, but you're just in you're by yourself, and your day to day, it's like kind of your struggle. It's kind of like you're just combating, you're just trying to overcome, you're trying not to be the stereotypical black person. You don't want to look lazy, you don't want to look inadequate, you don't want to, you know what I mean? And so I feel like later on I'll bring God into this and how he's helping, but I think it's just a case of you know, the stereotype, fighting that stereotype has been such a conscious effort. It's been a conscious effort. And I think also dealing with feeling like the other, or seeing them like the other, you know, dealing with mixed emotions about hatred and all manners of things. So I feel like it's been a journey. It's been a real journey, which, like Anela said, it's a communal experience. The reason why I feel like I'm not even describing it very well is because it's just like, how do you even break this down? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing for many black people as well. Where do I even start from? Because you just like from the start, it's just been till now. It's just like, and you're just like, I can't bother to unpick that right now, essentially. Which I'm not saying I can't bother to do now, but essentially. So I think I share some of the sentiments that Nana said in terms of really feeling that communal experience. And I think for me, from a young age, dealing with this identity of being black British, per se.
Never had to deal with that. So that's something you're going to have to tell me about, love.
What do you mean, black British? What do you mean?
I mean, I've always, I identify as a Jamaican
Oh, yeah, sure.
with British tendencies.
Right.
So it's kind of like I never felt like I had to, I mean, yeah, every child growing up feels like, you know, they don't fit in and you want to do what you can to fit in and so forth. But in terms of as an identity as a British person, I've never really felt that, if that makes any sense.
I guess so. I think, you know what, I think for me, I guess it's been in certain spaces, in certain social spaces, I've just felt like you have to, there's certain conversations that you just don't have. There's certain, the shared experience that you have is, the experiences that you have are not relatable. And so you have to kind of just...
to the general British populace.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying that for me, I've never had to. I've never identified as a Black British.
What do you tick on your forms?
I tick Caribbean.
See, there we go. I think I don't know what I
tick Caribbean on my forms.
I think I tick Black British.
Yeah, even though I am able to code switch and I'm able to do it very, very well. And I'm not just talking about code switching in terms of the way in which I speak and being able to speak with an accent that will allow me to kind of seem seamlessly like I'm just a girl from Brummie. I'm talking about code switching in terms of being able to be like, to talk to anybody and be like, oh, I used to watch Tweenies. Or, oh, I used to watch Clifford the Big Red Dog. Or, oh, I used to watch My Parents Are Aliens. That aspect of being British, because I grew up, I spent my formative years here and I'm able to relate to them on that level. It's very, very, I'm very fortunate to be able to do it. But when push comes to shove, and when they're loading up the ships, they're going to send me back to Jamaica. Do you know what I mean? So I'm very, very aware of this. And so I don't, that's just what I was saying. But I hear because I've heard a lot of people talk about the experience of the Black British person and their struggles to kind of, second gen, it will be second gen, right? Especially third generation, second generations. I've heard them talk about that, not identity issue, but that thing of being a part of the, I'm going to say this wrong, dysphoria.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Now I'm doubting myself. So we'll go with what you said.
Why?
The diaspora.
Diaspora. That's not even the Jamaican in me. That's just me not knowing how to pronounce that word. The diaspora, right? Did I say that right? I'm just bringing more attention to it. But that, people talking about they're wanting to connect with where they came from, but being very, very much aware of the fact that where they came from and where they are now have mixed completely to create the identity of the Black British person. And I've heard people talk about it. I've had conversations with people who have had that kind of thing where, you know, when push comes to shove, I want to do more back home. And then there are people who are like, no, I'm actually here and I want to do more for the people who want to. So it's kind of I hear what you're saying. Yeah,
definitely. I think, like I said, I think I've been shielded a lot because, for example, our church community has given me a cultural experience that I would never have had. They're not laughing.
Even Nisha, I have the experience. All I'm saying.
And then I could see eating Jamaican, So it's kind of good. So you know what I mean? I think it's only recently that I realized if I was at work, I would say I'm Nigerian. If I'm around people, I say I'm Nigerian. It's funny. I think the Black Britishness. I was listening to an audiobook by Afua Hirsch, and she was talking about class, identity, race. So she was breaking down the identity of being Black British, and I felt like it was so strange, but I could identify with her on so many levels that I thought, this is me. I'm not mixed race. She's of dual heritage, but this is very this is something that that really resonates with me. And so that's when I think so interesting enough, I think maybe only in the past few weeks I started to identify as Black British.
I don't know why, but I would never, not that I would never, but I wouldn't, if somebody asked me what's Lisbeth, I'd be like, Nigerian.
Yes, exactly, because I am Nigerian.
You are Nigerian. You are Nigerian, but you are Nigerian. That's just a fact. You are Nigerian.
I have
the experience. You're also a Black British woman.
Yeah. So my experience is Black British, but I would identify as Nigerian.
Yeah.
And so, can you see already? We have to we're already dissecting us. Yeah. Dissecting. And I think, can you see? I think, to all our listeners, you can already hear the just the event that it is to understand who you are.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? It's a whole event. It's a whole like, what are my experiences? Where am I from? Who do I relate with? Who do I connect with? What is my place? And so you can see, so that's even interesting in itself. So yeah, I felt like we did like some, I don't know if we did. You did justice. I just kind of surfaced and.
No, I think you did justice. What do you mean?
No, because I was kind of like
experience.
I didn't think I shared my experience because I was just like,
I think that you did, because I think okay, let's put it in context. You are a professional working woman in a corporate world, so everything you were saying about the fact that a lot of these things have helped you to be in this space makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes, well, that's what I heard.
Well, I think I essentially said, but essentially what I was trying to say as well was that I had to ignore my color. So my color had to become, my color could no longer be seen as a hindrance. And so therefore I stopped, I had to detach myself from not detach, but I had to distance myself from the issues that came with being Black. And it just wasn't at the forefront. I just couldn't have it at the forefront of my mind.
Yeah.
Because Black all of a sudden became a stumbling block.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't. Do you know what I mean? So, it's almost like I've had to not separate myself, but I've had to just maybe keep the conversation not at bay, but just managing it essentially.
Like compartmentalize your life.
Yeah. Like, okay, sorry guys. We probably should have dissected ourselves before this. My gosh, we probably should have. Look at that. We all get to know each other. We even get to know ourselves. Anyway, so what are the issues? What are the issues? The current issues. I put down current issues and century grievances, because we know that the current issues are not just about what's been happening currently. They're deeply rooted in centuries of happenings and events and pain, essentially. So, Anana, what are the issues?
I was about to clap, then I realized I can't do that to our listeners. So, where do we start?
You know what? I am so sorry. Do you know what? I'm apologizing to our listeners because we actually broke this down. But as soon as you say where, okay, I know where to start. So I'm saying, okay, the current issues in terms of BLM, we know what's been happening in terms of in America. And I think another, well, I guess we're highlighting for our listeners who probably already may know, but what are the current issues? What are the current issues that are in the communal dialogue at the moment? Yeah.
The reason why I was like, where do we start, is because, like you said, the current issues are a direct correlation of things that. Okay. And then I realized that let's just hash it out, yeah? I realized that my grievances as a Black Caribbean woman who's living in Britain are complex because this was the colony that had my people them. But anyways, we'll talk about that after, yeah? So right now, what's going on? I think the general thing that is being tackled is systematic racism and the way in which it is presenting itself in our society. And the most easy and clear-cut example of this is police brutality, which we see more evidence in America at the moment. Well, not more evident. Let me retract that statement. That we that has been allowed to be played out the way it's been played out in America. Yeah, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. If the UK police had guns, fam, if it wasn't just them batons, listen. So what I'm saying, so
funny, what you said,
just the batons that they were carrying around, like it would be problems. But yeah, I think that's the main kind of issue. We're looking at the systematic, the way in which systematic racism has been used to oppress a whole group of people and has been unchallenged in its oppression of these people, which, like I said, is made very visible and very clear by simple things, by things like police brutality, by things like looking at senior management in the corporate world. If you look at aspects of this, you can see very clearly whether people want to believe it, agree with it. That's your own. You can go and fight with yourself, but this is what it is. Most recently, we had the black guy in America, Jacob, that got shot in the back as he was walking away from the police. But there are now more videos, because of the age that we live in, there are now more videos that are coming out where you see Caucasian people talking to the police anyhow, and yet they are walking away with their lives. Do you know what I mean? But this black man was breaking up a fight and got shot in the back. Fam. Do you know what I mean? So it's a that is what is happening right now. People are challenging the things that we were always taught were normal, were accepted, was regular, was the way things should be. And there is a real revolution when it comes to social justice and the way in which equality is being presented to people, especially by people who hold the power. Because I've realized that it's people with the power that really like to throw the word equality around, because they know that what they're saying is worse.
Right.
Do you understand?
Break that down.
People in power like to throw that word around, like to throw that concept around, because they know how to wield their words and say certain things that eventually don't come up to anything. And I think that is being challenged. That is being challenged so much. Recently, there was a demonstration outside. I can't remember his name, Andrew something. What do you call him? I'm not American, guys, so sometimes these titles, but the Until Freedom, the social justice group, went and had a protest outside his house because he is the one with the power to give the orders to arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. So this is what is happening. People are saying, now we're not just going to say, oh, somebody's died anymore. We're going to stand up and we're going to do something about it. We're going to challenge the status quo. We're going to say things have to change. So that's kind of what's happening. And there are lots of different examples of it happening. We saw the rise of the Karen, and we see the rise of the Karens being challenged. You know, we're seeing all these kind of, that there are allies who are standing with us and who are standing up to their parents. They're talking about generational biases being challenged, generational thinking being challenged. So that's kind of what is happening right now. I hope I answered the question.
As you can see, you're known as a historian and a current affairs.
A historian that doesn't have all. Listen, I've taken so much information sometimes I can't remember it all. I can remember sometimes the gist.
Hey guys, it's Onella here. I just want to make a quick correction because, you know, we're not about false information on CTN. The guy that I'm talking about, his name is Daniel Cameron, and he is the Kentucky Attorney General. So I just want to clarify that and make sure that I put this in. So yeah, enjoy the rest of the episode.
No, brilliant. I think so. That was, I mean, this is literally it. It's I think with the advent of social media, here's a lot in terms of the level of exposure that we're receiving and the level of information that we're receiving about the realities that are happening, has, so, you know, for we're kind of digging into the whole upsurge, you know, during the pandemic in terms of the response to the deaths and the response to the injustice. And because of the advent of social media, we're not necessarily seeing, I would say, a suddenness. We're seeing a sameness. This is what's been happening, and so it's coming to light. And I think you raised a very good point in terms of the systemic nature of what's going on. How deeply entrenched it is in our institutions, in the in the judicial institutions, within education, etc. It's so deep, which is why. Sorry, my doorbell is ringing. I don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear it?
I can hear it. You ordered food.
I didn't. I wish I had. I had ordered food, but I feel like that's a mum order. That's a mum order. My mum orders come. My mum's coming. So there's a deeply entrenched you know there's a deeply entrenched issues within within institutions, and I'm so grateful actually because the response well, you know, the immediate, because this is where I think now we're going to protest or not to protest. I feel like, you know, the protests did shift things. It caused an awareness. You know, it caused an awareness. It did. Was it George Floyd? Because of the protest, George Floyd's I was gonna say murderers, but yeah, they were they were taken into account, and I think so. You know, that happened, and so we see a value in that expression. But when we're looking at centuries of grievances, the intentionality will have to be so much deeper. Mm-hmm. I feel like the intentionality will have to be, for some people, this is going to be, this kind of social activism will have to be their life work. Yeah. It's not a part-time job. You have to be like, listen, I'm here to see a revamping of institutions, and I'm here to see, I'm here to to make this my life work, so that when I leave, there'll be something for people to stand on, you know? And so I you know, that's, and I feel like that's actually happening at the same time. Like you said, I feel like people are trying to decipher and discover what their space is right now in response to this. So we're no longer protesting on the streets, but what am I doing? Where's my head at? Where how am I connected to what's going on? Where's my place in this? You know, and so I think that is also happening unconsciously, behind the scenes. And there is an uprising. People are taking the time to read, to discover, to understand, and to be able to, even if it's not your life work, you are informing yourself, so that whatever space you find yourself in, you become informed, and you see a space for change, a space for conversation. So I feel like that's happening within the community as well.
It's about accountability.
Yeah.
The generation that is in now, wherever they are occupying their space, they are saying that the people who are in charge, we are keeping them accountable. And I don't think that has happened really before.
Yes.
So big corporations are now expected to keep their word.
Yeah.
There was Jackie Aina, who really challenged a lot of the big beauty brands. Say, bruh, put your money where your mouth is. Don't just give us these nice little things of, oh, we are all inclusive, and then show a black model on your page that has 1,500 pictures with only like 30 of them being black models. Then all of a sudden you've only got black models. Support the cause. Put your money where your mouth is. So you see that happening. People are holding these people and companies in positions of power accountable. And I don't think it's happened on this scale before. I don't think it has happened on this scale. And I'm talking about in every realm, they're holding them accountable.
I feel like it's fantastic actually in terms of the holding companies to account. And I think I do hope that the sentiment within firms, within businesses, within household names across different sectors do have this continuum, because there was a trend that was happening because of, you know, the Black Lives Matter. We stand all together. There was a solidarity that happened, and solidarity works when it's in fashion. You see what I mean? And so I this is why I keep feeling like for some people, this kind of movement has to be like a lifelong commitment, like a lifelong chase up. Like, what do you want to see change? Until it's changed, do you rest? You see what I mean? When do you rest? So I think that has to happen. I also think in terms of the idea of personhood. Now, I think that there's a thing about, one thing that I've been really, and actually while I was in university as well, was that if there is equity, so if we're all equal and there's equity in terms of you bring us all up, so everything is we all have equal opportunity, our opportunities are the same, we have the same capacity to move in life, you bring me up so that I can be on your level, etc., etc., etc. But then you still do not see me as a person, then what? And I really kind of tackled it. I really kind of tried to, I found that a bit of a struggle, because I thought to myself, and you now see it. You now see the conversation come about tokenism, the token black model, token black this person, token black the person. And so then the idea of tokenism comes in. Now, tokenism, I feel, comes from a deeper sentiment, which is that am I just here to fulfill a quota, or do you actually see me as a person of value? Now, I know that any person, any corporate, any money-making business, they don't play, no money-making business, any person that want, and that's not even just, that's from big corporations, SMEs, that has a heart for business. You're not going to just hire somebody because just to fulfill a quota, they have to meet some standards. Do you know what I mean? So they're not just hiring anybody. That you have to meet the standards, but then also they have a desire to make the workplace more diverse. And so there's this kind of like sentiment where am I here, but am I a person? I'm here, but am I a person? Am I a person? Do you see me? Am I just a black person that you've hired who's able to get the job done, and you tick our diversity box? I feel like that is something that is not tangible. You can't see it. Do you know what I mean? And so that is something that I feel is a lot harder. I feel like it's a lot harder because you hear it. I was listening to some stories, you hear it. Some people, they work so hard to get into the spaces, to get into the places, to get into the positions, and yet they are still seen as other. It's like, I've worked so hard. I thought you would like me if I spoke like you did. I thought you would like me if I dressed like you did. I thought you would like me if I worked to the same standard or even better than required. And yet I'm still not good enough. And the issue is that you see me as different because of my blackness. And so how do we actually transform the perspective of people? Like, essentially, like, do you see what I'm saying?
I think where you're going is not techie, but techie, because there's a certain work that sometimes no matter how hard you try, you can't do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I do not possess within me the ability to make a racist person not racist.
Yeah.
I don't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that, and I'm trying to be very wise with my words here, Holy Spirit, help me. But I don't think that, I think that a lot of these things have got to die out with the generation. If that makes any sense.
Ooh, that was heavy.
It is heavy, but I feel like that is what it is. That a lot of, somebody just walked in your room.
No, it's what you're saying. It's your statement.
I think that
we do not condone violence.
No. Don't go and kill nobody, please. No.
That's I'm playing. It's because, you know, but I definitely see what you mean.
Do you understand what I'm saying? I think that unless there is a real move of the Holy Spirit on some people's hearts, their thought process, because you've got to realize that for a lot of people, this is something that was embedded in them. From the time they were, the Bible says, train up a child when he's young, and when he is old, he will not do what? So why do you think that if they train up a baby racist, it won't become an adult racist?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they're not put in places where they can have certain conversations and see certain things for themselves, because then the question will come back to, you know, they're still racist. Why they're still racist? We're such a forward-thinking society and such a forward-thinking world, but there are people with extremely racist views, and these, unfortunately, a lot of the, Holy Spirit help me, because I don't want to say the wrong things. Some of the people that hold these views are people with old money. Do you understand? These are people that are running major corporations. These are the people that are at the and that I feel like, and I'm not saying this to generalize because it's not everybody.
Yes, exactly.
But even if you don't want to call it outright racism, you will see that in that family, they've never had a mixed marriage. They don't deal with any sort of browns. Do you know what I mean? That's something that is entrenched, that's something that is deep within them. And they go on, they fulfill their quota, they get their token Black people in their corporate world, and, you know, they're doing what they're doing. But in that aspect, I feel like number one, it has to start somewhere. So if you see a space for change, then you be the catalyst for it. And I know it's not always easy, and I'm not gonna sit here and say, you know, it's always the easiest thing to do. I tried to start a Christian union in my college and basically got crucified for it. So I understand that it's not always an easy thing to do, but you have to have the mindset of, if not me, then who will?
Yeah, I mean,
you understand? Yeah. It's kind of that. I hear what you're saying about the token Black person, and not being seen as a person. I'm just here to fulfill a criteria and I tick all the right boxes. That's fine. But then when you now reach up in seniority, who are you employing?
Yes. Yeah.
Who are you bringing on board?
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? What initiatives are you driving?
Yes.
What initiatives are you pushing for?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. I think I definitely see what you mean, and I think it's taking ownership. Once you're in a position to do something, take ownership. Be opportunistic in terms of when you see a gap to make a difference.
Hey guys, so it's Onella here, and that is where we are going to end the first part of our BLM podcast series. I hope you enjoyed. If you've got any questions or comments, feel free to let us know, and you can always get in touch with us via our social media platforms. So you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at CTN_UK. So leave a comment, leave a question, whatever the case may be, and we'll figure this out. But I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Look out for the next parts in our series, as we are going to delve a little deeper and just keep having these conversations and figuring it out together. So until next time, guys, be blessed.